The most recognizable skyline on Earth is anchored by a structure meant to represent perfection. The Burj Khalifa, 828 meters tall, 163 floors, visible from nearly 95 kilometers away on a clear day, stands as the ultimate symbol of Dubai's ambition. But on February 28, 2026, something happened that quietly disrupted that image. The building was evacuated, not as part of a routine drill, not for maintenance, but because smoke was rising nearby as missile intercept debris and drone activity unfolded across central Dubai. The observation decks shut down, the lights dimmed, the fountain show at its base, the one that runs every 30 minutes and draws thousands to the waterfront, stopped completely. The surrounding district, usually one of the busiest tourist zones in the world, went silent. The Dubai Mall, directly connected to the tower and known as the most visited shopping center on Earth, was suddenly empty. Corridors that normally absorb millions of footsteps felt hollow. The energy that defines downtown Dubai disappeared almost overnight. While flights resumed and the city began projecting stability again, something has not fully returned. The crowds, the lines, the constant movement that once defined the Burj Khalifa experience. Here's the uncomfortable truth, one that rarely appears in official tourism campaigns. The experience around the Burj Khalifa was already under strain before any crisis began. What has happened now is not the creation of a problem, but the layering of a new one on top of an old one. To understand this, you have to strip away the marketing and look at what visitors have actually been experiencing. A typical visit begins inside the Dubai Mall, which serves as the main entry point to the at-the-top observation decks. From the moment you check ticket prices, it's clear this is positioned as a premium experience. Entry to levels 124 and 125 starts around 169 AED, roughly 45 US dollars, but that price rarely applies to the time most people actually want. Sunset slots, the entire reason many tourists visit, are significantly more expensive. The next tier, the Sky Experience on level 148, ranges between 369 to 399 AED, around $100 to $110 per person. The highest tier, the Lounge Experience on floors 152 to 154, can cost up to 649 AED, approximately $175 per person. For a family of 4 aiming for a premium visit, the cost easily reaches $600 before they even step into an elevator. Yet, despite that pricing, the reviews tell a very different story. Visitors consistently describe long queues at nearly every stage of the journey. Time slot tickets often fail to translate into actual entry times. One family described spending hundreds of dollars on premium access only to find themselves waiting in lines, standing in crowded lounge areas with no seating, and receiving minimal refreshments, a few drinks that felt disconnected from the price paid. Complaints about overcrowding, poor queue management, and lack of organization appear repeatedly across multiple platforms. Some visitors describe the experience as frustrating rather than memorable. Others go further, suggesting that simply viewing the building from outside may be more enjoyable than entering it. The reason behind this is not entirely accidental. The Burj Khalifa's visitor system is constrained by its physical design. The observation decks are served by a limited number of elevators, around 3 primary lifts for public access, each carrying a small number of people per trip. Even under ideal conditions, the system can only process a limited flow of visitors per minute. During peak hours, thousands of ticket holders are funneled through this bottleneck. The result is predictable: long wait times, crowded elevators, and delayed access to the viewing decks. This is not a temporary issue. It is a structural limitation that cannot easily be solved without redesigning the experience itself. Now consider how that existing friction interacts with what happened in early 2026. When the evacuation occurred and images of smoke near the city center began circulating, the perception of the entire area shifted. Reports confirm that debris from intercepted threats had landed across parts of the city. Major attractions temporarily closed. Thousands of short-term bookings were canceled within days. Tourism activity slowed as both visitors and residents reassessed the situation. Even isolated incidents, such as drone-related events within a few kilometers of downtown, began to influence how people perceived safety in the area. At the same time, international companies operating in nearby financial districts adjusted their operations. Offices reduced staff presence. Some buildings operated with minimal personnel. While the Burj Khalifa itself remained structurally untouched and reopened shortly after, the surrounding environment had changed. And in tourism, perception matters as much as reality. Visitors are not just buying a ticket to a building, they are buying into an experience, a feeling of certainty, comfort, and excitement. When that perception shifts, demand shifts with it. This creates a compounding effect. Before any geopolitical tension, there was already a noticeable gap between expectation and experience. Visitors were paying premium prices for an attraction that often struggled to deliver a seamless journey. Now that same attraction exists within a context where external uncertainty adds another layer of hesitation. For someone choosing between multiple travel destinations, Dubai, Istanbul, Tokyo, or Lisbon, the decision becomes easier. Any additional friction, whether operational or psychological, pushes them elsewhere. Another factor amplifying this shift is the role of global visibility. The Burj Khalifa is not just a building, it is the visual identity of Dubai. It appears in nearly every skyline image, every promotional video, every travel advertisement. When events occur in the city, the tower is almost always in the frame. This makes it uniquely vulnerable to perception shifts. Images and short video clips, even when lacking full context, can spread globally within minutes. Once those images circulate, they shape how millions of people interpret the situation, regardless of official statements or later clarifications. So, where does this leave the Burj Khalifa and the entire downtown district moving forward? The answer is not simple, and it's definitely not one-dimensional. There are two very different but equally real perspectives shaping what happens next. The first perspective is rooted in Dubai's track record. This is a city that has faced shocks before: financial crisis, global slowdowns, travel disruptions, and each time it has managed to bounce back faster than most analysts expected. Tourism in Dubai has historically shown remarkable resilience. When numbers fall, they don't stay down for long. Massive government-backed initiatives, aggressive global marketing campaigns, airline partnerships, visa flexibility, and world-class infrastructure all work together to restore confidence at speed. This is not accidental. It is engineered. The Burj Khalifa itself still holds an unmatched position in the global imagination. It's not just tall, it's the tallest. It's not just famous, it's instantly recognizable across every continent. For millions of people, visiting it is still a bucket list experience, something they've imagined for years before ever stepping on a plane. That level of global branding does not disappear overnight. The fundamentals, location, accessibility, visibility, symbolic power, are still very much intact. Because of that, there's a strong argument that once stability fully returns, the crowds will return with it, just as they have in the past. But the second perspective is where things become more complicated and far more important. Because recovering visitor numbers does not automatically fix what visitors actually experience. Filling the building again does not mean fixing the building's problems. The elevator bottlenecks will still be there, quietly limiting the flow of people. The same time slot frustrations, the same overcrowded peak hours, the same mismatch between premium pricing and perceived value. None of that disappears just because demand comes back.